Hello, welcome to this inspiring interview with a friend of ours, known Jayson Lilley for quite a while now. Hi Jayson, how are you doing?
All good, how are you?
Very good. I was just saying that, the last time, we spoke like this, I feel like I know your home because I actually went to your place, and I think you've just had that extension done, but it's looking pretty good.
Yes, yeah, but it was a lot sunnier, I think, when you came last time, which was
it was
time ago.
It was.
A lot's happened since.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. A lot's happened since. I mean, we've had the whole, lockdown, and we're either, possibly coming out of it, going back into it. Who knows? How's it been for you as an artist with a young'un?
Yes, well, as a dad, it's been challenging because of nursery closing down and things like that. And as an artist, it's been equally challenging because of nursery closing down and things like that. So it's been a lot of late nights working while looking after Josh in the daytime. And my partner's an artist as well, Anna, who you've met. And so it's been a lot of juggling, but we feel we got through it. And the most important thing was just to look after Josh, to be honest with you.
I suppose you get into a routine, a bit of a pattern. Because I remember from your, when we spoke last time for the Art Related Noise podcast for Enter Gallery.
Yes.
Your studio is just, I can sort of think I see it. It's like a little
Yes, you can, yes.
So you have to go out, you literally go out of the building, don't you, and into the studio. So it's like
the studio
it's a transition for you.
Garden. Yeah, I do have another studio as well where I do larger work, but mainly through lockdown, it's just basically been working in there. And if by chance Josh took a nap, I'd dip in there, or then Anna would take over, so I'd go in there. And it was just 3-4 months of just juggling everything, but I think we got through it and we're okay. And the galleries were quieter anyway, because obviously a lot of them were closed and all my art fairs were cancelled. So it wasn't like I had to produce a huge amount of work, but there were still things I had to take care of.
You have been a little bit busy though, because the reason why I really wanted to talk to you today is because you've been in a book. It's a long title, so I'm just going to read it out. The Bigger Picture Book of Amazing Dyslexics and the Jobs They Do. There it is.
There we go. There's the front cover. Yes.
And I remember when we last spoke, because you speak quite openly about, your dyslexia and, how that's, forged you really to some extent. How did the book come about, and just give us a sense of what was happening there?
I think the main reason it came about was there's people that Kathy and Kate, who produced the book, are linked with a gallery that I'm linked with, and also they follow me on Instagram, and I do say in my bio that I'm a proud dyslexic, and they just got in touch and asked me if I wanted to be interviewed. This was like 2 years ago now. And they came to the house and interviewed me, and it went from there really. But I didn't quite understand what it was and who was in it. And now seeing it finished, it's an absolutely brilliant book. Full of very, very much inspiring people.
So how is it structured? What would people expect if they were picking it up and flicking through it?
Well, as you can see, it's basically a page on everyone, and we're all asked kind of the same questions, but obviously differently answered. And it's just, I quite like the photos. The photos are quite nice. A lot of them are studio based. There's a lot of artists in it, or directors, or scientists, or lawyers, but they all seem to be work based photos, which I quite like. So so every page is about a different person.
Visually appealing, some interesting stuff there.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
I suppose what it does is it brings together a lot of people with that shared life experience of dyslexia.
Yes.
And I suppose, by doing that, and by showing all the different people doing all these really diverse and different jobs, just how people are able to manage dyslexia in a positive way.
Yeah, definitely. I think it shows that the diversity of, the people that are in the book, what jobs they do. Some of them are really challenging jobs. So it kind of shows that, dyslexia does not hold you back at all. You can do anything you want in life, and no one should tell you otherwise.
So tell me your story then, as a young man, going through school, what was your experiences?
It was quite bad, to be fair. I was in bottom sets for everything because not being able to read, write, spell really affects everything you do at school, really. I was a bit better at maths, physics, sciences, things like that. But anything written, I did struggle with, and I kind of lost a lot of interest in school over the years. You're told you're not very good at something, and it kind of sticks after a while, and you start to believe it yourself, which is quite sad. But fortunately, I was quite good at art, and that kept me going through school.
And what's the experience? You mentioned that you're in the bottom sets for everything, and that must play on you a little bit, because you're thinking, well, presumably you're thinking, well, why am I struggling with this? It's
the frustration. The frustration is terrible. I think back to it now, and how frustrated I was, because I knew stuff. I knew there was things going on in my head. I just couldn't write it down on paper. And it was all spelt wrong. And you're very much judged on that. And that was quite frustrating. When you get essays back constantly of like fail or C's and D's, and it's difficult to get out of that. And to be fair, I didn't get out of it. I went through school like it. I just found it really, really difficult. And it wasn't until I went to university, really, that I started to excel, and there was people to help with the reading and writing part, and I could get on with the creative part.
When did you there's a bit of a transition there, going from from the school environment into the university environment. When did it click that there might have been something like dyslexic? Because you presumably didn't know that you had dyslexia at that particular time. No. So when did you become aware that this is actually something that can be supported?
Well, when I was at school, it was you were branded as special needs and remedial, but there was no dyslexia. Wasn't a thing really. It probably existed, but this was like in the 80s. But I wasn't actually diagnosed with dyslexia until I was about 22. So that's when it became something I was aware of, and I found out more about it. And suddenly you tell people you're dyslexic, and they go, "Oh, I'm dyslexic," or there was something. I don't want to put a label on it, but it was something we could all talk about.
And share experiences.
Yeah, share experiences, basically. And it's surprising how many people have exactly the same experiences as me.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. And I suppose, thinking about that, growing up in the 80s, it wasn't a a thing. And I suppose you pigeonholed, aren't you? You pigeonholed.
You are. It was difficult. But I don't feel bad for the teachers or anything, because they got enough things to do. There were teachers that really helped me and did really understand. Sadly, there was others that didn't. But I do remember a lot of teachers really helping me, and knowing I wasn't an idiot, knowing I wasn't stupid. I just couldn't read or write very well, and I still can.
But you mentioned that art really was the one that saved you a little bit to some extent. So what was your interests at school, and how did you develop those?
I just really enjoy it. You know, when you have those lessons in the week, well, the only ones I really look forward to were the art ones, possibly games, playing rugby and stuff like that. But yeah, for me, school was I just had to get through that week. And then it started again. And there were certain highs in it, like, I don't know when it was, but like a Tuesday and a Thursday, I knew that I was doing art those days. And I used to enjoy those days or those afternoons, you know. But the rest of school for me was just a process of just trying to get through it without looking stupid.
So how did you sort of transition then in terms of, you know, you're diagnosed with, you know, dyslexia. How do you manage that as an adult in your daily life now?
Well, I think the best thing to do is don't hide it, or don't try and hide it, because that's just ridiculous. I think if you can tell people, you don't go around telling people I'm dyslexic, but I think if people are aware that I have difficulty spelling, it does help. All my friends are quite aware I have difficulty spelling in my texts and everything else. But for managing it, like obviously in a work environment, is you've got to just try a lot harder. I hope I don't put anything out like on social media that is misspelt. I do get my partner to check everything I put out if she's around. Yeah, you just got to try a lot harder. There's no excuse for bad spelling, to be honest with you. You've just got to check it more and more and more. And
so that's what all it is, really. It's just checking yourself, checking balance.
Yeah, I'm sure, you know, there's people out there that never make a spelling mistake in their life, but they might not be able to draw. So it's just a different skill, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely is. Yeah, I mean, and that's what you know for now, of course. You know, the drawing. Yes. So going back to the book, what do you reveal in the book? Is there any particular stories that you're sharing?
I think the biggest story is being sent out of class every morning as a special needs person, and going into a separate room, and reading to a special needs teacher. And I used to have to do that every single morning. And I felt I missed out on a lot of school, a lot of social interaction in the classroom, because, yeah, as I say in the book, I just had to read, and it's not much fun listening to me read.
No. You have to read out loud. Is that what they?
Yes, you have to read out loud. Yeah, and yeah, I admire the special needs teachers because yeah, it just must have been so terrible for them. Because the progress as well for me there was no progress. I just couldn't read. Everything just looks different. All the words are all over the place. So it doesn't matter how many times you do it. I just couldn't do it, and I still struggle. You
did say in one of your Instagram posts that if you had that book when you were 16, then that would have given you a lot of confidence, because you'd have seen people.
Yeah, because at the time you think you're the only one. You think you're the only person who has these problems. And, you know, this is before the internet and everything like that. And, you know, if I knew that, I don't know, Paul Smith, the designer, was dyslexic, you know, I'd say, oh, wow, he's, you know, how did he transition to become that designer? Or, you know, Jamie Oliver, you know, how he's done all right for himself. So yeah, I think someone to inspire you is something I could have really appreciated at that time.
A role model, if you like.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Do you? I mean, because you're one of these people in this books. I mean, is that something? When we spoke last time, you talked about that people would, because you're so open about your dyslexia, and you put it on the Instagram page and you talk about it, you know, freely. You mentioned that people got in touch with you, or would get in touch with you to talk about them. Do you see yourself as a role model yourself?
No, not at all. No. But if anybody does, people do get in touch, and I'm more than happy to share my experience. Yeah, I don't know. This week has been really quite emotional, to be honest with you, because I did the posts about the book coming out at the beginning of the week, and some of the messages I got were incredible, and they weren't just like thumbs up, heart kind of messages, but some people wrote like 200 words on their experiences at school and how they related to what I said, and they were pleased that I had the courage to say it and share it. And I think that was it was just incredible. I couldn't believe how many people, and obviously because I have a lot of artist followers, there's so many artists that are dyslexic, and so many of them just shared the similar experiences that I experienced at school.
Nice to be able to talk about it, I suppose, isn't it? When they see somebody openly say, you know, this is here now. This is a book. This is what I've been in.
Well, the other thing about one of the worst things growing up and still now is it's embarrassing. You know, as an adult, if to read aloud, I try not to. I have had to at certain times, but I prefer not to. To write things down and spell things, and for people to say, "Oh, you've spelt that wrong," it's quite embarrassing, because the assumption is you're a grown-up. Of course you can read and write, and that's not always the case.
No, I suppose you don't think about that, do you? Or you wouldn't normally, because there's assumptions that get made in daily life, isn't there? And you're living with those assumptions all the time.
Yeah, one of the things I've always done is I purposely make my handwriting terrible to pretend I can spell words. And it's a ridiculous thing, because actually my handwriting can be quite neat and tidy, but then people see that I spell wrong.
Did you ever do handwriting lessons at school?
Yeah, all the time. Oh. Yeah, and I used to love them.
Oh, I hated those.
See, being a creative, I love calligraphy, and everything's neat and tidy and sweeping, and I used to love doing that. Unfortunately, everything was spelt wrong.
Well, our handwriting lessons were. Your handwriting actually sounds more interesting. It was just like you had to write A.
Oh no, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, we used to have like the 3 lines as well, didn't you? And you had the X and all that. But no, we had to write words as well. But I could never get a flow of the word, because I'd have to keep stopping to see how to spell it, and it's
right. Did you do Did you ever do the cursive script?
Yes. Yeah. And I get, but that's it's almost creative, isn't it? Yeah. So I'm all right with that. It's just putting the right letters.
I suppose you get the pattern there on the cursive stuff, don't you?
Yes. Yeah.
So tell us about what you're currently doing art-wise. I've seen quite a lot of different things come out, during lockdown from you. You seem to be exploring different things and techniques.
Well, lockdown for me has been, I know it is an awful thing of what's happened with coronavirus and everything like that, but it's been quite nice just to press the stop button and for the emails to slow down, the galleries not to be pestering me, which they do a lot, and not that I'm complaining, but and just have a decent amount of time to explore a few new things.
You're doing a lot of the smaller pieces as well, I've noticed.
Yeah, well, I've been doing smaller work because I've been at home and it's easier to do smaller work. I've done a lot of the money work, and I produced the New York series of dollars, and I've done some more pound notes, and then I've done some I did some stuff for the London Art. So we meant to be doing the London Print Fair at the Royal Academy, but that got cancelled and went online. So I did some work for that, and I've just done the Art Car Boot Fair, but there was a few technical issues.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that's going to be relaunched on the 4th, I think. And yeah, I've done some work on some top trumps vintage cards. And yeah, it's just given me time to have a little bit of fun, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, it looks like you're having some fun, to be honest with you. I mean, like I said, you can tell when an artist might be just playing around or just experimenting a bit because of the different types of work that's coming out.
Yeah, I think one of my problems is I don't experiment. I don't play around. It's in my head, and I know what I want to do, but I've done. Yeah, I think I've done something quite fun and a little bit outside of where I usually am.
Mm. I remember seeing your European Union series as well.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I did my star because I'm a bit against everything, the Brexit thing. But so yeah, I came up with this idea of giving everybody, well, the edition was 16 million or so people that voted to stay in Europe. And I've just done a special edition of that for the Art Car Boot Fair, and it's gone down quite well with at least half the population.
Well, if it's an edition of 16 odd million, I mean,
yeah.
Are you close to selling that edition out yet?
I've still got a few left.
That's good to know. No, I saw that. No, I thought it was quite a nice idea, just having the little, star. I mean, this is I mean, that was before lockdown, actually. That was, so you were
yeah,
playing.
I did that just before. Yeah, but it was just an, like everything, it's an idea that pops up in my head, and then I just want to get it out there on paper, printed. And I think I seem to be doing more things like that, kind of ideas that I just want to get out there, and that was one of them. Yeah, the trump card thing is. Oh, I've got one on the wall.
Well, let's have a look. Oh. Yeah, put it a bit closer. Yeah, the trumps. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So that's the Lamborghini Countach, which is my favourite.
It's nice. I like how it's framed with the pink.
Yeah, yeah. I very rarely keep my own work, but I actually kept this one back for myself because I was quite proud of it.
And is it screen printed on that?
Yeah, it's all screen printed, 4-color screen print on a vintage card, and I'm quite very pleased how that turned out. So I kept that one for myself.
You're allowed to sometimes, I think,
I know. Well, yeah, you don't want to keep too much.
No, just a hobby then.
Yeah.
Jason, I'm going to leave it there. Really interesting to talk to you about, your experience with dyslexia and particularly the book and how you work with that. I think it looks fascinating and there's some great stuff in there. So thanks for chatting.
Thank you very much.